What's going on, everybody? BobbyFi back with my man Eric Sheets Haber. Happy Friday. We have a big slate of games. Honestly, this is one of the best baseball slates I felt like I've seen this year. I know there's been a lot of good ones, but for some reason, this one has particularly sparked my interest, even though I'm sort of debating between a few stacks. And I think starting pitching is going to become more of an issue if we have weather issues in one of these games. But I think it's going to be a really fun slate. Sheets, what are your sort of first thoughts on it?
So as I was just mentioned, I was a little not down on myself, but one of the things that I've had issues with building lineups in baseball is, and this seems such a silly thing to say, but I haven't been paying as much attention to the price of some of the guys I'm playing. Now you're like, well, just duh, right? What shouldn't you be paying attention to it? And what I found is that I was playing, teams. Okay, this looks like a good team. I'm going to play them, and I really didn't care too much about their prices. And I also didn't feel as though I spent enough time thinking about like position scarcity and what I was giving up. You know what I mean? Playing this, even if I played a certain stack, okay, that means I don't get to play something better where I can use something at a first base position or something like that. So I think I've done a little better in the last couple of days for my own self. And so I'm going to try to give a little bit more of that as we do the previews. I happen to have had a decent day in baseball yesterday. We had one guy who was following us, who took down the whole
big one,
the whole Megillah.
Jamie
Yeah,
Campbell. Way to go, Jamie Campbell.
Yeah, and I was tracking him down. I don't know if it was actually his lineup, but I was in the top 10 for a couple of minutes. And the thing about baseball, it's not like basketball where they creep up on you, right? In baseball, they just shoot past you. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have a guy hit a home run, they're like all past you instantly. You don't even realize it. That's how I know who someone hit a home run, just watching my lineup just go down the list, right? So I'm kind of psyched about today. I agree with you that it's a very interesting slate, and we definitely have to talk about the weather. Which is the rain game? Maybe Philly, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so let's start. What are we going to start? Oh, let me share my screen, right? Hold on.
Yeah.
Where am I? Let's see.
Man, Mark Leishman, get out of here! I got to stop looking at this. Get out of here, DraftKings.
Yeah. You can't get mad at Mark.
Brutal. I got like the nuts with him. Whatever.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it because this is
so the first game that I have is Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. I didn't have interest in either of the pitchers, but on first glance, I actually did have some pretty significant interest actually in Milwaukee. I like Yelich, outfields at 5,100. I think he's good. I like Kira at second base. I like Braun. Usually, again, we like him usually against lefties, but I don't mind him either. And I like Garcia again, even though it's against the righty. I like these guys a decent amount, and Justin Smoke also. So I actually do like Milwaukee, and the thing is that it's not the greatest park, and this is the problem. Like, as we'll get to later on, a lot of the hitting I like is actually at parks which don't really support it.
Well, let's remember though, like Dodger Stadium is not the same in this time of year that it is the rest of the year. It's a totally different.
It wasn't even the Dodgers one. We'll get to it later.
Well, no, but I think people have that thinking about the West Coast, LA, San Diego, San Diego, LA, and they're just much better hitters parks this time of year because the weather's different.
Yeah, so I do think that those guys are all probably pretty decent, and also, I mean, Narvaez hasn't hit a ball since the Eisenhower administration, but 3,800, he's a lefty too. I'd probably try him, and again, I don't play Milwaukee all that often, but I've had decent amount of successes when I have, so I don't mind Milwaukee.
Look, the offense has boom potential all the time. I see no reason to play them here. I won't play anybody except for Yelich, who is just too cheap. I think Hera's in play, but I'm not going to play him probably just because of the slate. Chad Kuhl has struck out 18 in the last 14 innings. This is the team that's been one of the worst in baseball. I believe that Chad Kuhl is worth the tournament dart.
I don't blame you.
Look, I don't understand how they're strikeout. Like everybody's at 30. Like it's incredible. I mean, I've never seen numbers like this. I actually think Hauser's a pretty good pitcher. I don't know how much he'll pitch. If you're playing 150 lineups, you definitely consider Kuhl and Hauser. I don't think if you're playing 3 that you're going to play either of these guys. I'm done with it. I don't have anything to talk about hitting-wise.
Okay, and I didn't, and I looked at Pittsburgh. I didn't really have anything stand out that necessarily worth playing.
Yeah. And Pittsburgh is just one of those offenses that everybody's like sort of there's if you get stuck with a Moran or like needing with that price, I could always use him for a power one-off or something. But I just don't like Brian Reynolds. I don't need to use outfielders when there's so many on the slate. You know what I'm saying? It's just like hard to play them unless you stack them usually.
Okay, so you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so Detroit, Cleveland. I didn't get to Plutko. You tend to play him a little more than I do in general, so I'm curious to know if you made your list here. I didn't really get to any of the pitchers. As a matter of fact,
he's not really a start. I mean, I don't know whether he started like.
You don't think Plutko is going to be a full starter today?
Let's clarify this though. No. I've never recommended Plutko this year. I've not said one word about him. I've definitely said his name in the past. He's not pitching innings. The only time I would have recommended him is the first start he had made because it was the only time we did actually made the second start because we thought he was going to pitch like he did the first start.
Right. No, because I remember when I had mentioned that I thought that when Zach Plesac got sent home for COVID, I mistakenly said Adam Plutko, and you're like, whoa, he's in my lineup. I better go check that out. That's the only reason.
That was, I think, the first day, though. I really do. Because I remember wanting to pick on the White Sox offense or whatever, and we thought he looked like a starting pitcher. Then since then, they bring him in for 1, then for 4, then 2 2/3, and I don't know what's happening. So I just am going to stay away from it. But he is so cheap against like a team that has just been absolutely just horrendous against right-handed pitching in terms of strikeouts. You can make the list if you're making a bunch of lineups. I don't know how much he's going to pitch. If I felt confident that he was going to go out there and throw 85 pitches, I definitely would put him on my list because Detroit can struggle with anybody.
As far as the hitting goes, I actually am not. I mean, I'm not making Cleveland a priority of mine today. I'm just not. I mean, the guy I might look at, I don't know, Tyron Naquin's 3,300 or whatever, but I just like other teams better. I will say that that these Detroit guys, some of them are still kind of cheap. Like Kristen Stewart still 2,700, maybe as a one-off somewhere. Because I was just looking through like kind of the values on the slate in general, and there's not that much. So I like Stewart a little bit here. I mean, I'm not going to stack Detroit or anything like that, but I just figured I would just bring it up. Candelario, he's not like he was 2,700 before, but maybe he's okay at 3,600. I'm not sure. But again, not like I'm really recommending Detroit here, but I just figured I would just bring them up. Would you like Cleveland here? You like Detroit? You like anything? Because I thought I would have more interest here in Cleveland, but I just didn't.
They're fine. Like, I mean, the prices are weird. I like Reyes, Ramirez, and Lindor, and I just say that every day. The truth is, I originally probably thought I was going to play more of Lindor. When we get through this slate, you'll understand how many shortstops I love and see why it's going to be very hard to play Lindor. But Jose Ramirez is a similar story, except for I don't like third base as much, but the price is up there. So I really like both these guys, and I like Reyes, but they're expensive. It's a bullpen game. I don't really think that, like, Fulmer is going to pitch a few innings, but by the way, Fulmer, when he pitched, like, used to pitch regularly, he was actually on the verge of getting to be good. So, I just don't want to, it's a bad bullpen, so you want to pick on him, but it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the best spot today. So I'm sort of fading it. I also think that they'll have, like, a little bit of ownership more than I want to go with. Although, looking at the prices, maybe they won't. But playing guys like, part of the reason I hate stacking teams like this is, like, because you have to play guys like Naquin or Luplow and stuff, like, and you get like 1 or 2 at bats out of those guys so often. It's just so frustrating. And I hate playing stacks like that. I hate it playing guys who, after hitting a home run, get pulled from the game. I just can't stand it. So personally, I'm probably going to be lower on this team. If you wanted to make it a 4-man, I would use the 3 I mentioned and then throw in Carlos Santana, and then it would be Domingo or Naquin. But I think Naquin would definitely be the last of my priority. The worst part is I actually kind of like Naquin. I'm not going to play a guy who's only going to possibly get me 2 at bats on a giant slate like this. He's not even like, there's so many better outfielders at cheap outfielders today.
So Philly, Atlanta, is it listed as orange or yellow orange or what's
So I'm looking, shout out to Kevin Roth and Roto Grinders, as we are taking their weather information, which is the best in the business. And no matter what we ever do site wise, we are not going to try and compete on a weather basis because Kevin Roth is the man. it looks pretty bad. I'm looking at Weather Edge right now. So just real quickly, I'm going to mention that in 11 previous games, this is Ross data, so I'm kind of giving away a little bit of the stuff, but basically it's a very, very good hitting weather, like incredible hitting weather if they play. And a huge boost to home runs, all that stuff. Now, as of right now, it's early in the day to try and figure out weather, but even having a questionable situation like this, like usually I would just go, okay, well, I would try and find ways not to play that game. But the truth is, even with the hitting conditions being like that, I really like Aaron Nola. I've been waiting for this kid to bust out. I think it's about to happen. I think it's happening, and I think that he's sort of always like flirted with being a great pitcher, but always been really good. I think this is the year he becomes great, or on the way to becoming great. And I think that Atlanta lineup is a watered down piece of garbage. So I'm all about trying to play him. I don't know what this weather is going to be. And honestly, right now, I think it is orange. I'm just trying to pull it up. It's taking a minute. So talk about the game, and I'll look up the weather.
I mean, I thought it's funny because I thought Noah was fine. I didn't really feel as though he was honestly, that he was a huge priority for me. I was just gonna do something different. That's the best I could put it. He's certainly fine. I mean, whatever. But if he was going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate, I wouldn't be in a big hurry to make sure I played him. So with the possibility of rain, I'm certainly not going to play him, and I kind of have to sort of hope that if I'm going to fade him, that they play.
He's been the second best pitcher in baseball so far. I just want to.
What's that?
He's been the second best pitcher in baseball so far for DFS and real life. Like, if you look at his games he's pitched, he struck out 7, 12, 10, and 8. He has 18, 30. That's 37 strikeouts in 20. No, that can't be right. In 20. No, that's not right. Yeah, that's not right. 26 innings. This is incredible stuff. Like, absolutely incredible stuff. He's already dominated this Atlanta team when it was a better lineup once. And I know we talked about. I'm just saying, like, I see him as the best pitcher on the slate. For upside, well, him and Bueller are very close. Let's put it that way. It looks like it's getting a little bit better, by the way.
The weather?
Yeah. So I think we want to talk about this game.
Yeah. So from the other thing about this game is I'm very confident in my takes on Max Fried, in that I just don't ever play him, but I never take hitters against him either. He's maybe just because the way the slate's been kind of worked out. I mean, he's pretty good, but for me, he just never quite makes it to my top tier pitchers. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. So I do like McCutchen from Philadelphia at 3,800, and I guess Kingery at 2,500 if he plays is decent value, whatever. I'm not going to like attack Fried even with, Hoskins or Harper or any of these guys. Or even, Real Muto, I guess, 5K, I don't know. And Atlanta, again, like you said, Nola's really, really strong. Don't want to be in a big hurry to play hitters against him. But Travis D'Arnaud is still cheap at 2,900, by the way. And he would be the only guy I would even, or maybe that's pretty much it.
Only Freeman in this game, not thinking about anybody else. I just want to point out something about Max Fried. Every time he pitches, I hear everybody try and talk about all these, he gives a power. I'm like, this guy never has given up a home run. I've never seen him give up a home run. Having said that, Philadelphia is the exact team I want to take against basically any lefty. This lineup just screams of lefty crushers, but I think I'm just going to avoid it. I don't mind Hoskins. If you did it, I think it would just be Hoskins. I mean, they're all fine. I think there's better spots. Hoskins, McCutchen. I'm just probably not going to do it. Maybe Alec Baum. I don't know. It's just not. I'm not for me.
Okay.
Let's move it on.
All right. It's funny. Like, one of the places I go, they kind of rank like the ownerships of stacks and stuff like that. And usually there's like a couple of teams that are really just kind of ahead of the field. My first look has it pretty well spread out, which is a little surprising to me because I thought I thought they would get. I thought it'd be slanted a little more. Maybe RG or other places have it like a little bit more slanted. I'd love to know who the chalk hitters are.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a huge slate. Like it's right. Going to be higher on Boston and Baltimore on FanDuel than anybody can even imagine, especially on Boston for this kind of a slate. And they'll definitely be somewhat chalky in their,
Yeah, I was kind of with you. I was kind of with you with your sentiments in your tweet last night. I was a little tilted that the Red Sox kind of got there at the end.
BS way of getting there, yeah.
Yeah, and it was annoying because I think I had Moreland in a lineup that was dead, so it was a little annoying. Okay. I just have this feeling that Boston's going to end up being chalky just because people just love to attack means and they still just love to play Boston like every day. I don't think that they're going to be a big priority for me. I'm kind of with you, man. I don't want to say dying on the hill, but I'm kind of into taking this kind of stance that Boston sucks. And I say that now you have to be my age to understand this, but I was a Yankee fan in the 70s, and all the battles they had against the Red Sox. In 1977, like one of the best-selling T-shirts in all of my area was seriously, it's a white shirt, and it just said "Boston sucks," like right on it. And I kept that for a long, long time, and that's all. So, and it's taken a long time to be able to say it again because they've been so freaking good for the last like 15 years, pretty much. It would be nice if Boston sucks. Let's put it that way. Especially if they're chalk. Let's put it that way. I don't want to play JD Martinez at 5,800. I don't want to attack. I don't want to play the Red Sox if they're going to be chalky. And that's just the stand I'm going to take, I suppose.
It might be lower. They're probably going to be lower owned on DraftKings, to be honest, because the prices are so high.
Yeah.
But then it'll just, then you get Chavis played as chalk. Personally, I think the bullpen is terrible. I don't think Means is as bad as everybody thinks he is. Yeah. Even if he's bad and gives up a few things, you're facing in the bullpen. The truth is, I just don't buy. I'm not buying into this offense. I think there's 4 good spots that can hit home runs and stuff like that. And by the way, their best hitter is not even in the lineup, obviously, because it's a lefty pitching. So it's even less interesting.
Who?
Moreland's been their best hitter this year.
Oh, no. Well, Devers is the best hitter. But
Devers is a 220 hitter right now. He's been one of the worst.
I don't want to hear it. He's awesome.
If we're gonna talk smack about Jose Altuve, we should be talking about Rafael Devers. I like Devers. Don't get me wrong. He's obviously a good hitter. I'm just sort of messing around. But their best hitter – and by the way, Devers is nowhere near the hitter JD Martinez is. They're not in the same league.
No,
JD Martinez is their best hitter, but like this year it's been Moreland. It's not even – there's nobody – like the rest of the team combined hasn't produced what he's produced except for Bogarts. But not much Boston for me. A little bit of Bogarts, a little bit of JD. I don't mind if you were going to mini stack it. I think you play Devers and Verdugo, both good lefty guys. But obviously better plays on FanDuel because the price where I'm guessing they're going to be much chalkier over on FanDuel. I like the Baltimore side, but I don't really know who to like. It's obviously Santander is the number one, and I like Francisco. I've told you I really believe in this kid.
Yeah, you mentioned him.
Yeah, Pat Valleca is so cheap.
Yep. And
he hit a home run last night. Sometimes
did he really?
Yeah, he doesn't usually. But he's hit 2 in the last 8 games. So that's enough for me at 2.5. If I'm going to play a few bats, I can use him as my cheap saver. I wanted to go that route. So they're fine. Rio Ruiz fine. They're all good. I like them. These are not my favorite stacks. I think they make better sense as like two offs or something like that. And my favorite pieces would definitely be Santander and Cisco.
Yeah.
Followed by Valleca just because of the price. But again, I'm telling you, there's a lot of savings we're going to get into.
So I want to take these guys out of the lineup so that we can start filling guys in. We haven't really liked anything all that much.
Well, now we will.
All right.
Well,
so
now we would have. Let me put it that way.
What? Minnesota?
Oh, it's a sad day. It's a sad day, Sheets. It's a sad day.
What happened?
The injured list. Byron Buxton is on the injured list.
No.
We don't get to play Byron Buxton, and it's just really sad.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, it's fine. You can play Ryan Jeffers.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah. So
but I would much rather play Byron Buxton.
You could play Ryan Jeffers, and you could play. I'm going to pronounce this right. Ildemaro Vargas. You do that.
That's pretty good, actually.
Not the worst.
I mean, he'll be in my build, but
so
I love the team, but I have no idea what to do with them, and I don't.
Yeah, so I got a little different idea.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get what you're gonna say, but I'll fire. I've got a retort.
Okay, so
Like Duffy.
I kind of have some interest in both the pitchers here.
Mm-hmm.
So Duffy kind of like he's fine. He's whatever. And I might consider him as like, where am I with him? Like maybe like the 5th, 6th, 7th pitcher on DraftKings. I don't know. I kind of think Odorizzi's a decent little pivot though.
So these teams just played. This just happened. We just saw this exact same matchup a week ago, 5 days ago.
Any chance that Odorizzi got torched or no?
No, Duffy struck out 8 in 5 innings and put out 27 DraftKings points.
So I don't have to play him. Okay.
I think coming back look, if he's going to be low owned, which I think he's going to be, which is kind of weird. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe it's just too early in the day. I mean, look, it's a watered down version of the lineup somewhat. It still is a lineup that I have interest in. And Duffy is a guy who can absolutely be dazzling, strike people out, and then give up some bombs as well. Gave up 3 in his last 2 starts, has the strikeout stuff. He's also gets walk happy, walked 7 guys so far in about 20. So he's walking a guy every 3 1/3 inning, every 3 innings or so. Patient team. Just had the matchup. It's really hard. I think what's his name hit a home run off him last time. I think obviously it was Cruz. Cruz always hits home runs off everybody. But I think that there's arguments both ways for both pitchers. And I love the Minnesota. Well, I love Nelson Cruz, and I love the idea of stacking against a potentially wild Duffy in a second matchup. I am having a really hard time figuring out who else I want to play with him because I love Miguel Sano. I usually like better against guys who are a little bit less wild and more around the zone and just don't strike people out. Marwin Gonzalez is only a filler piece and should never be looked at as anything more. Eddie Rosario is probably my next favorite because he's cheap and has actually had pretty good numbers against lefties, improving numbers, and so is Kepler. So those would probably be the guys, but it's a little harder to, that's why I'm gonna end up throwing a little of this Ryan Jeffers in there as my catcher. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna take some shots at the overall situation. I just don't know exactly how to prioritize it except for Nelson Cruz, and Nelson Cruz is obviously one of my favorite plays in the slate. So I think Nelson Cruz and Jorge Soler are actually individually my 2 favorite plays in this game. I love Jorge Soler. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to stack Minnesota, basically. Let's wait till the lineup. Maybe when the lineup comes out later, it'll be a little bit easier. But right now, it's not like I'm in love with individual bats. I like them more. I like them as a primary stack, not so much as a secondary stack.
It seems, I think the lineup is out. They have Marvin Gonzalez leading off.
Okay, that's a little bit better.
And then I don't know who's hitting second, actually. They didn't update it here. I mean, I see everybody's checked off, but like I'm looking at one site.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I assume it's probably, let's see, I can probably get that called up real quick. Sorry, guys. Hate to have the dead stuff.
No, that's all right. That's okay. So what I was going to say, by the way.
Oh, Jake Cave. That was my favorite play. That was my first guy who I plugged into my lineups today, Jake Cave.
Okay.
Who profiles extremely well. I believe has a couple home runs and like 8 at-bats against Danny Duffy, too. I think he just hit one off of, maybe it was last year. Kepler batting 8th. Wow. I love that lack of ownership, but you don't need to get that crazy here. So I think it's really the top 3 are my favorite. Jake Cave is definitely the guy for me here, especially because without Buxton, there's a chance he doesn't, get pinch hit for later in the game, and Kepler and Rosario are already playing. So I think we've got Jake Cave as one of the best plays on the board right now.
So in addition to kind of like Odorizzi, these Royals are freaking cheap. You mentioned Soler, but you want to play Nicky Lopez. And Nicky Lopez is not going to kill anybody, but he's not going to hit any home runs or anything. He's hitting second at 2,100 maybe. And Hunter Dozier and I don't know, Hearns 3,100. He does it right against lefty. And Mondesi, I don't know where he's going to hit in the lineup. And then Witt's expensive, but I don't know, man. They're going to be like 1% owned, right? I don't know. Maybe some of these Kansas City guys. I don't know why I have such interest in this stupid game, but
I like this game too. I don't want to stack up. I think we got to stop. Like, I think we just talk so much, and not us. I mean, everybody in the DFS world. They talk so much in terms of like it's like we just talk about the generalities, but I don't think that this is like where I want to stack the Royals. The problem is like the way that it lends it yourself because of the pricing, you end up accidentally wanting to stack them, and I think that's I don't think that they're a good stack. That's the truth. I don't like them at all. I think that would be a really big mistake to prioritize their stack. Having said that, I think getting a few bats here, or a couple bats is a good way to go. Soler would be my favorite by far because of his price. I think Whit Merrifield, I mean, his numbers, I have to double check them. I think against Odorizzi, he's like 19 for 30 with like 5 home runs or something ridiculous. That's some serious BVP.
5,500 is brutal though, no?
And against the reverse splits righty or guy who used to be, it's brutal, but fine. I don't care. I'll take a low-owned Whit Merrifield, just take a shot. And you can play, what you could do is then you play him and you have like a mini stack naturally because you can play one of those guys with maybe either Dozier or Nicky Lopez but I think you're talking about 2 and 3 man stacks. I don't think you're talking about like full-on stacking.
Right.
This is not a very patient team. It doesn't usually pay off when we do this. But even getting a guy like O'Hearn in the lineup, these are all good like plays. By the way, Alex Gordon has really good BVP too against this guy, and he's 2.7. So there's a lot of plays that a lot of guys I have at like 10% in my lineups today, but nobody who I'm not dying to get them in the stack. Does that make sense, Sheets?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually.
So also we have a pitcher who's not like, he's an experienced pitcher who doesn't tend to get too wild. So I think that's also not a spot I'd put to stack. Are we ready for the next one?
Yep.
Your favorite game of the day?
If it's the White Sox game.
Yep.
I mean,
let's do it. Sorry, that's what I had.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope that that the wind is not blowing out. I really hope it is only blowing to the side or neutral, because if it's blowing out, the White Sox are just going to be freaking chalk city, no? Listen, what's interesting about this is that I want to go. I'm all over the White Sox.
It's not blowing out, by the way.
Okay, good.
But it's blowing. But it's a favorable hitting condition anyway.
Fine. It's because we're attacking a pitcher I don't usually like to attack. You know what I mean? I don't really like to attack Lester. And there's another guy I'm going to go after a little later who I don't like to go after him either. This game actually, I like both sides of the hitting in this game. The White Sox, I mean, pretty much everybody. I don't know how else to describe this. So let's start with the cheapies at the end. If they play, Adam Engel and Danny Mendick are both literally the minimum. And Mendick is spunky, whatever. But I've seen Engel hit like home runs. You know what I mean? Like and so you could do whatever you want with this group. Abreu, Jimenez, Encarnacion, Tim Anderson. I mean, literally like whatever you want. I find it difficult to believe this is not going to be huge chalk.
You keep saying that. Like, I don't understand how you think there's huge chalk on these slates, and also I don't understand why you would think there'd be huge chalk against a guy who doesn't walk and doesn't give up that much power.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. And then on the other side, like Heichel's another guy who I don't really like to go after. But I just want to say that Baez is 4,100. Isn't it usually more expensive than this?
Yeah.
Or am I confused?
Yes,
I don't know.
You're 100% right. Remember, they've had a lot of games with the winds blowing in, though, too. So that's why his price is down. So you're getting a steal on him. I agree. But there's a lot of great shortstops.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There's 2 in this game. I mean, there's 2 of the best shortstop on the whole slate in this game right here.
Yeah. So I thought I was going to like the Cubs more, but I'm looking at the lineup and looking at these guys. Maybe nothing's that terrific. Chris Bryant's out. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, it is. There's not. It sounds more fun than it is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, forget it. I mean, but I definitely like the White Sox. They're, I mean, clearly my favorite team of the day. Even though, like I said, it's against a pitcher who, like you said, is not like the guy they usually like to go after. I'm having trouble finding better options. Maybe we'll find some later.
So Lester used to be a great guy, even to pick on even when he was like a good pitcher because you could get the stolen base upside. It's not quite what he used to be like that. But if there are guys who are going to run, it would be Tim Anderson and Moncada. So I like them a little. I give the boost to them. I just want to point out though, it does feel weird to me with Lester. I don't like picking on pitchers that don't walk guys. And I'm just going to take a quick look this year. How many guys has he even walked? And has he walked? He's walked 4 guys in 4 starts. It's not a lot. He has 2 extra batters though too. Low strikeout against a high strikeout team feels like a power spot. So I like these guys, but I just think it's weird to try and stack on a giant slate against like naturally John Lester. I don't think like should be like. I mean, honestly, John Lester didn't play, by the way. Like I'm not going to play him, but he's going to get like a tiny bit of ownership because in a way like this the matchup actually almost like they can strike out a lot, these guys. But I'm still going to go with the side. I feel weird going with a full 5-man, but I like every bat. So I'm just going to prioritize real quick. Tim Anderson, number 1. Number 2 would be Moncada. Number 3 would be, the problem is I like oops, I almost knocked over my thing. I like Abreu. I like Abreu and Encarnacion, but FanDuel, you can do that. And it would have worked well the other night. I just don't know that they're my favorite first baseman. So I'm going to play them. I'm still struggling with where they're going to end up on my list. And then as far as Mendick and Engel, like if you want to use them and fill out a stack, that's totally fine with me. I'm not going to like overly prioritize these guys. Sure. But I do have like 15 to 25% ownership in everybody in this lineup, except for Mendick. I'm down to like 10 to 15. And Engel, I have like almost not enough.
I'm just looking at the 08, 9, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you go ahead. I mean, you don't remember. You don't need to. You can do it because you're saving money too. Like, I mean, this is a cheap stack. Because
that's what I'm saying.
John, don't sleep on James McCann as your catcher, by the way.
Okay.
4K. People aren't going to want to pay it.
You like anything on the Cubs or?
Yeah, I like Baez, Happ, and Bodie. But I don't like Love. It's just guys I'll have in probably one lineup just because the power upside is there. Again, giving Roth his props, in 151 games that are matching these current conditions, you've got a pretty significant increase in home runs. So that seems like a pretty good spot to me, even against guys who aren't, the worst like gas cans in the world, but they certainly aren't going to fool you. And like low strikeout pitchers against guys like Baez just seems to meet like home runs, meet with home runs. Same thing with Bodie and Happ. So interest in all those guys, but not sure how much I'll end up actually really having of them.
All right. Cincinnati, St. Louis. Is that next?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I skipped it. Sorry, my fault. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you got it in yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Pitchers in this game. So I'm not playing Dakota Hudson. Descalfani, I have him on my list of possibles. I don't know if I'm going to get to him, but I have him as a possible. I did actually have some, again, not in stacking, but I thought some of these guys were okay, hitting wise on both sides. Like Cincinnati, I like, again, Winker at 3,500. Again, nothing that spectacular, but I do like him. And then on St. Louis, I like, again, if you're not going to, whatever, if you don't like Descalfani, Carpenter is cheap, Colton Wong is cheap. And that was pretty much all I really had. Again, if you want to stack against Descalfani, then you're talking about Goldsmith and Edman and even Molina or whatever it is. But I don't know. I thought Descalfani was an interesting idea. I mean, I don't think he's going to win me anything though. Again, pretty unexciting game if you want to know the truth. But those are my initial opinions.
Yeah, I think you just want to point out again. This is another one that has a little bit of weather implications.
Is that right?
Yeah, not any danger. Just that it's actually not as great hitting conditions. I don't exactly understand why, but just based on a lot of games that have been similar, it seems to be a suppressant for power and things like that. I think Jesse Winker is still an awesome play. I just think people haven't caught up to what this kid's been doing right now, and he's just been on fire, and I'm going to keep playing him. Hot streaks are a real thing. Anybody tells you different doesn't know what they're talking about. Anthony DeSclafani is becoming an increasingly on my radar pitcher today. I like DeSclafani. He's looked really bad in a few of the games, but he looked really good. Of course, that was against Milwaukee. I'm sort of just willing to say, F it. I think this guy's got plenty of upside here. I understand the matchup's not ideal against St. Louis, but it's not terrifying either after coming off the COVID. And, Sonny Gray was pretty good against this team last night. You can just give it the one home run, I guess. I'm into DeSclafani right now. I'm struggling a little bit at pitcher, so he's one of the guys on my list. And I'm just not interested in the bats outside of Winker. He's the one guy I really have some interest in. And I actually think I originally was thinking about a few other guys, but I'm just not going to. Like, Shoga's one of the really cheap guys, but there's just other cheap bats. Moustakas is probably the most likely to hit a home run of anybody in this game, and he's so expensive, so it's a little bit hard to get to him. But those are the guys I would look at. I just don't have that much interest.
Okay. All right, I guess we can move on, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Houston, San Diego. This is like really annoying because these are both guys I kind of thought I might want to play, but I just don't think I'm going to. So McCullers has been better. He's just too expensive for me in this slate right now. I don't think I'm going to get to him. And Richards, again, if it depends how many lineups I would end up playing. He as I mentioned before, it's kind of funny. I said, give me a better matchup. Give me against someone that's not the Dodgers or the Rockies. And then now he's got the Astros. But the Astros stink. I mean, what's so good about the Astros anyway? I don't think I'm going to do it today, but again, if I played a bunch of lineups and let's say Duffy was really chalky somehow and I wanted to get off of him, maybe Richard would be all right. But overall, I really don't have too much interest in I won't talk you off of, honestly, of either of these pitchers, but I'm just not going to get to them.
I get the argument for both of them,
Yeah.
Pretty good hitting weather in San Diego, by the way. Just going to throw that out there. I mean, there's only been not that much of a sample size on this thing, but there is like a pretty significant home run boost. I don't know exactly who we're picking on, like why we be picking on these guys, but these are some power bats in these lineups that certainly make some sense. I can't really get behind anything in this game. And I am sort of fascinated by Houston's run total is lower than I think I've ever seen it. Like, even when they faced like Kershaw, they used to have like a 4.5 run total. To have a run total just at 4 even, and maybe even going to be lower. I'm interested. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm starting to find myself with a tiny bit of interest in Garrett Richards, and maybe we really do just say, hey, are these guys really, what they used to be? And I still think they're good enough to where I don't want to pick on them, but I could see myself getting a little bit into Richards as the day goes on. Because this lineup ain't the same that it used to be. And
okay, anybody want to do a little homework? They could do this homework for me. If anybody wants to figure out how Houston does against sliders, that would be interesting to me.
I usually have that information pretty ready.
Because from this is from what I heard. I mean, the work that he did on his stuff over the offseason or whatever, he's got one of the highest spin rates now of anybody that throws a slider or something like that.
But I have this question for you. We don't need to find the answer out. The answer is going to show up absolutely resounding yes, that at least the top 5 guys when it comes to every pitch type. This is a team, like every number, if you take the historic numbers of Springer, Altuve, Correa, Reddick, or actually lesser, this is a way worse lineup without Bregman, and it's really just the top 3 guys, I guess. But they're going to hit everything. You know what I mean? Their numbers will show up as being good against everything.
Okay.
It's not like we're trying to find the Blue Jays and what pitches they can't hit.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair.
Look, until this year, those 3 guys were a virtual lock to be future Hall of Famers. But the cheating thing has thrown everything up in the air. Anyway, I don't know. I'm struggling with it, man. This lineup is really watered down, and to see that run total where it is, I'm curious if I can find a K prop and see what the strikeout expectation we can get out of Richards tonight is, because it might be higher than – if I could see that as a little bit higher, I definitely could see myself making a weird play and taking it here.
How did Jay Cronenworth Chalk Night work out for everybody?
I don't know.
I think you have 2 fantasy points or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it's –
needless to say, he's 2,500 still. So, still a good play.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you want to play the price, sure, absolutely. Cronenworth, the priorities from a price standpoint would be Cronenworth and Grisham. I just think there's better options. Right. I'm always going to throw in a little bit of Tatis, by the way, especially when he's against good pitchers, because it's
for sure
not popular. This kid is just out of this world. Like, I mean, he's having the year that, I don't know, it's incredible. But so I'll play him, but I don't really have a ton of interest in a lot of things. I think George Springer as a one-off is fine. He's too cheap for him. That's all I got, man. It's a weird – this is one of those games that I'm just like, got all the – the weather's throwing it out there, making me feel like I should play hitters. And I'm like, God, I kind of like the pitchers. So I'm just sort of struggling. Maybe I'll end up leaving it alone.
All right. So here we go. Texas against Seattle. I hate to say this, but so these are actually two pitchers who are kind of in play. I'm not playing. I'm just telling you that I'm not playing Nick Markakis or whatever the guy's name is. Okay? the Nick Markakis, you're not going to play you. Okay, I'm just not going to do it. I will also say that if somehow, some way, it's not going to be, but if he starts to get popular, whatever, I'll actually take some shots with Texas against him. I was reading whatever the write-up, and you have a lefty that's just like a control guy who's going to throw the ball over the plate, and I get to play like Joey Gallo. I don't get lefty, whatever. I'll take a shot, even Odor. The reason I mentioned it was kind of awkward is because earlier in this discussion, I said I might end up trying to take a team in like a hitter's park, and this is it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a stupid freaking team to play in a stupid freaking park, but especially if Marchivas gets any ownership or whatever, Texas is gonna have nobody playing them. So, like it or not, I do actually have some ridiculous interest in some of these Texas guys. The other thing I'd like to say is I have kind of a little interest in the pitcher for Texas also, Allard. And the problem is, again, I'm starting to really think is that every pitcher against Seattle is overowned. Because again, Seattle has these history of like.
I don't think he's going to be like crazy owned, but he'll be owned a little bit.
Right. So I don't think I'm going to do it. Okay, but he's going to pop up in projection models probably as a fifth, sixth best option. People are going to play him. I just don't. Again, like unless I have a real reason to, it's so sick to say that I kind of want to avoid going to attacking Seattle.
I still can't figure out where this take is coming from. I'm looking at the numbers every day, and I don't know if you just had bad experiences with certain pitchers with Seattle or something. And I know they're sort of good in like weird spots, but I mean, these guys are like they barely made contact the last three of the last 4 nights. Like I don't even know. I'm not going to be.
Maybe I'm hallucinating.
It's not all of the one guy who is like shockingly like. He's crushing lefties. He's crushing righties. He looks like the old guy. Maybe his brother's inspiring him. I'm all about Kyle Seager as a one-off, even in the lefty-lefty matchup at 3.5. I actually have if you run different projections, I think he's one of the better value plays on the slate. And I think that Austin Nola is an outstanding catcher. Look, I really couldn't have said what you said about Texas any better. I had the exact same feeling. My first thought was, oh, there is nobody going to go in this spot, and this is the kind of matchup this team should crush. Everyone on this team, their biggest problem is strikeouts. Odor, Gallo, Frazier, that's what they can't do. When you take that out of the equation, how are they not going to tee off on this kid? Or at least how are they not going to have the opportunity to? So they also have really nice prices. You can do it cheap with Odor. You're getting incredible power upside from Odor, Gallo for too cheap. I know he's been bad. If Shin-Soo-Shu's in the lineup, I'm going to absolutely be all over him. If I play stacks of Texas, I always try to, even though he walks a lot or whatever, he does so many. Anyway, he's not the guy who I look for as one-offs. I like him better in stacks. Todd Frazier is the guy who no one's going to talk about. But if you give me a no strikeout pitcher, let's go with Todd Frazier. Again, this is what this guy strikes out and struggles with. If you look at his game log, I mean, he had a 2-game stretch where he didn't strike out. But other than that, he strikes out a couple times pretty much every game. So if you take that out of the equation, man, let's go with a little bit of Texas. And that's the first time this year I think I've said that.
It's interesting. Something that you said is I think is really important in baseball. You mentioned when you're dealing with – we were talking about Texas. You're like, they're when you're dealing with a strikeout team, like the best matchup is pitchers that don't strike out people. And what made me think of that is the other day you were talking about hitting, taking like a fly ball hitter against like a ground ball pitcher, right? I mean, because the kind of, I guess the theory is it evens out, whatever it is, and you can do whatever. And I think that's very important to think about when it comes to baseball. And all right, so good. So but we both, and again, it's kind of cool about this. We don't talk about the slate at all before we get on here. And for both of us to both come up with kind of Texas is kind of bizarre, right? So, it'll be like San Francisco. They'll probably end up being 40% owned.
And like I say, it's not a spot you have to fully stack, but you can go 3 or 4 men. Like, again, guy's not probably going to walk a ton of guys, so that makes me like it even better. But, I like it as a 3-man, or a 4-man. But you don't need to go crazy and get all 5 guys in there if you don't want to. It's fine otherwise. You ready to get on to the 2 games that I may like the most?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's start with Colorado, LA, and I don't know. I wasn't as into LA today as I always am. Part of the reason why was because of John Gray, and the reason I mention it is, a couple of games ago, I was suggesting, okay, maybe let's attack John Gray at home. I forget who they were playing.
Wasn't the Dodgers?
Was it the Dodgers?
No, it wasn't the Dodgers.
No, it wasn't the Dodgers. And I was saying, no, I've heard that there's velocities now, whatever. And you're like, listen, he's really just not that bad, whatever it is. And if the Dodgers, as a result, are going to be just really popular here, against the righty, they usually are. I don't know if they're in. Again, I'm going to play them because I just kind of always play them. But I don't think I have to play them. Let's put it that way. I definitely like them. But again, where ownership's going to go, and I know what you're going to say. Listen, the ownership's not going to be that bad on a slate like this. And if that's the case, then sure.
I promise you.
What's that?
I think I can safely promise that outside of maybe a couple spots, I don't think it could be that high on the Dodgers because they're just expensive, man. And well, some of them are expensive, and then people don't love playing the cheap bats. So I think you're talking about 10 on this slate, maybe high. Like you'll have a couple 10 to 15% guys. I think maybe a little bit higher, but mostly other than that, I think you're about 5%, something like that, 2%, 4%, some things like that. I don't think you're gonna see much.
Yeah, I think Buehler mows him down. I think he's the best pitcher on the slate. I like him a lot. He's expensive, whatever it is. I think Colorado on the road. I'm looking for any reason to go against them. Righty, lefty, whatever it is. I don't know what kind of leash Buehler's going to have or whatever it is, but he's gonna kill people. I think he's going to have just destroy them. I would play him heads up over Nola if Philadelphia plays a full game. And he's going to be, unless I have some reason to pay down for pitching, like if there's big expensive hitting I'm going to need, I'm just going to probably just end up playing.
Yeah, I'm so starting with Buehler. Let's start with the Dodgers side of the line stack. So they've got obviously a pretty good amount of history, not as much as you might think with Gray in the same division, but 140 at bats. And he struck out 40 guys in that time, which actually, on a different thing, you'd make it say, oh, maybe he's got a good enough strikeout rate you can play him at 6.6. No. John Gray has lost 2.5 miles off of his fastball. He's been fairly lucky and good at limiting damage. He has not faced a team that has the quality bats that this Dodger team does. Nobody has. It's crazy because this is a total that they've got that most teams would have against John Gray and Coors. And this is in Dodger Stadium. So they like him for a good reason. So the Dodgers are like ultimately their best against power righties. You have a power righty who doesn't throw hard anymore. It's really hard for me to see him getting through this lineup without getting into some serious trouble. And these are patient hitters. They're not going to chase you. I just don't see. He's got let's see, the walk rate is about 10%. No, it's 15. No, higher than that. Okay, so 15 to 20% walk rate against this team. That's pretty high. I'm just looking at some of the great things. I mean, he does give up power. He has for the last few years, but again, limiting damage, meaning like he gives up 1 or 2 home runs in a game. But I don't know, man. I liked him against Texas last week. I'm ready to just stack the Dodgers against him here.
Well, what does Alexa have to say about this?
Hey Alexa, I'm saying, hey Google, what will the temperature be at Dodger Stadium at 7 p.m. tonight? Hey Google, what will the temperature be in LA at 7 p.m. tonight? I don't know. Google's not listening.
The temperature today at 7 p.m. in Los Angeles is predicted to be 83 degrees.
Sounds like a
There's
play.
currently an excessive heat warning in effect.
I'm telling you, you got to program it. Say the temperature tonight is Corey Seager season. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Which, by the way, side note, I almost died doing an outdoor workout with a mask on because that's the only way you can do it. You think here?
Oh, you can't do that.
I mean, I'm down the street from Dodger Stadium. It is hotter than hell. I mean, at 7 in the morning, it's like 90 degrees. So.
Oh, you live in that? You live in that area?
Oh yeah, I walked back from Dodger games.
What's Chinatown like? Is it dead?
I don't go over there. I'm near Little Tokyo, but it's pretty dead. I mean, people just make everything into stuff on the streets, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, Dodgers love them. Favorite. I mean, Cody Bellinger's like profiles perfectly, and then when you take the BVP again on top of it, he hasn't hit a home run off of him. Only been 16 at bats, but he's 10 for 16 with 1 strikeout and 5 walks. So. I'm going to take a lot of Cody Bellinger tonight because he doesn't seem to be fooled by Gray. And by the way, these numbers were all against the better version of John Gray. I think my favorites are Seager, Bellinger. Problem is that shortstop position, so I guess Bellinger is probably even higher than Seager. Then Mookie, Muncy. It's going to be hard to afford him. I'm sorry, Mookie, Pollock, Muncy. Ruiz is probably one of the priorities because he's the catcher and you can use it. Again, people don't know how good this kid is. He's really good. You can play Chris Taylor for cheap. I like them all, but I'm just prioritizing Seager, Bellinger, Pollock ahead of the rest.
So what's really the problem at shortstop? So who's better than Seager? You think guys like Tim Anderson is better?
I don't like anybody better, but I like Tim Anderson as much.
Okay, because you were saying shortstop's a problem. That's why.
The reason I like Tim Anderson as much, I just want to say this really quickly, and I like Javier Baez too. First of all, it's good hitting conditions, but also the thing is, both those guys can steal bases, and I just don't believe that if you get guys who steal bases on against Leicester, that they're not going to try it, even though it's not happening. I just think it's more situational. It's been the wrong guys getting on base against them. So I'm going to take a little bit of that shot, but I still love. I mean, I love Seager here.
Seager and Tim Anderson should be battling for the MVP down the stretch.
Absolutely, it could be a Seager MVP if Seattle can make a run.
I like
that. Would be really fun. All right, ready for the next one?
Is there? Yeah. Okay. So what do you think of Buehler?
Oh, so I love Buehler. I think he's the top pitcher on the slate. I've sort of come around to that from my original feeling of Nola. I think Nola has been pitching better than anybody, like I said. I think the matchup is better for Buehler. Although I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, because that Atlanta team is pretty watered down right now. Travis d'Arnaud is their number 3 hitter. Like, maybe you could say that the matchup is just a little bit better for – I don't know. It's close. But I like both of them. You will see some lineups with them together if we get an okay on the weather. I'm just going to take a quick look at Buehler's history because I've seen him pitch great games and I've seen him struggle at times. Pretty high strikeout rate, about 30% against these guys.
Grammarly can help you rate quickly and confidently.
These games are probably in Colorado. So nobody who really stands out as really posing a huge threat. Really low walk rate, which you got to love to see for him. And he's a low walk guy anyway. I love him tonight. You know what? I love him. And I'm certainly not taking any bats against him.
Okay. Want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So Angels Oakland, I do actually. I do actually like Haney as a whatchamacallit, as a possible SP2, and for me it depends on what kind of variance you want to take on, whether you want to use somebody like him, or as we'll get to in the next game, someone with a lot more volatility, with perhaps more upside. So I do like Haney as a possible SP2, and I don't like Mike Fiers. Hitting wise on the Angels side, I would take a couple of shots. I would take a shot with Ohtani again. I would go with I don't like the 9 position, but if Brian Goodwin gets in, I would try him. La Stella, he wouldn't be bad. And obviously, you could always play Trout.
So, of the guys in the lineup for Oakland tonight,
yep,
they're a career 14 for 88 with 32 strikeouts, hitting 100 against Andrew Heaney, and that includes one guy who's 3 for 8 in Laureano with 2 home runs. That's pretty much what I would actually have projected. Like at least the old Andrew Heaney was really dominant from a strikeout perspective against righties. And the weird part of me, even with these numbers right in front of me, and even with the fact that I like Heaney, I can't get over how well this Oakland team should do against left-handed pitching.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have some Heaney. I will absolutely make Matt Chapman a priority today.
Okay.
I will always play, as I said last night, and he did it again for me.
He did.
Matt Olson, he pops another one for me too.
Yeah, me too.
In my last sub, I ended up going with a 5-man Dodger stack instead of a 4-man. I had a 4-man Dodger stack with Olson and Chapman, and then I switched it over. Even though they wouldn't have won everything anyway, it cost me, probably a few $1,000, which is kind of annoying. But Matt Chapman, Chris Davis is not one of the guys. I just think I'm just going to play Chapman, Laureano, some Olson. If you need to save and Pinder's higher in the order, maybe him and Canna. But I mean, I'm just going to warn you, Heaney's been really good, and he's pitched against these guys a few times before. So just keep that in mind. But at the same time, I don't think that means we can't go to the bats here. I think this is a pretty small sample size. But overall, it does give you a little bit of an encouraging feeling about specifically Heaney himself, because he seems to profile. He used to be really good against righties, and I think he still can be. We just haven't seen the best of him exactly so far. And he hasn't, he's faced some pretty beatable teams and hasn't looked great. So it's a wild card play that let me just take a quick look what the ownership's going to be. Because do I really want, I like this play, but I could see it going, I hate there's so much of that tonight. There's so much I could see going one or two directions. You know what I mean? Either direction. I would rather have a stronger stance than just say, no, we're playing this guy. I don't feel that way with an SP2 other than the two top guys.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think he's an option. And then we'll get to the last game.
Popular too, but that's okay.
So we get to the last game, and I'm gonna play Robbie Ray, and I'm gonna tell you why. This is this is like a stupid Sheets play. This is what it is. So number one, San Francisco scored a zillion runs last night. Okay, that's number one. Number two, admittedly, I agree with everything that was written up about him this morning. It's like, listen, as bad as his control is, it's even worse. As bad as it's like he's terrible. Yep, well, that's true. And yet, yet I'm trying to win a tournament. And he still has 25-point upside, whatever it is.
He's got
and I'm probably or 35-point upside, whatever it is.
It's nice. Kids could go.
And I'm gonna try it. So again, it depends on what type of variant you want to take on. What kind of guys. And again, not that Duffy or any of these other 7,300 guys are that safe either. But I think that Robbie Ray can just win you a tournament. So I think I'm gonna end up going with him. Now the problem is I just don't. Normally, what I would say is, he's going to be really, really chalky at this price.
He won't be.
I don't think it's going to be the case. He's gotten tattooed too badly. You know
we're
what I mean?
We're going to have a really interesting conversation of why we are going to be better and why we do things differently and why I can be better than some other DFS players who play a lot more lineups than I do. Because they're all reading out bogus numbers. Everything they're reading from his numbers this year should be thrown out the window. He's had the absolute nightmare of all nightmare matchups in every single matchup he's faced so far.
And then we talked about this, right, each time.
Nightmare. And by the way, in those games, still putting up 10 fantasy points in those games should give you at least a little bit of a feeling for some sort of a floor. I mean, he gets wild. We have a team that doesn't, these guys don't walk at all. Longoria used to, and that's what you got. I mean, so 100 of the guys in the lineup, 100 plate appearances against Robbie Ray. They are hitting 200 with 37% strikeouts, 37 strikeouts. And these are guys who are going to play tonight. For the most part. So 90, you actually make it 92 at bats and 25 hits. So they're still hitting 203, 210, whatever, and they have a 35% K rate against him. I'm not afraid of these guys. Hunter Pence is this guy who used to hit him. Hunter Pence and Evan Longoria are the two guys who have crushed this guy, or hit this guy well, and they're not obviously the same players, and we don't even know if Pence will be in the lineup anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Now, I don't mind taking the cheap Giants on the other side because Robbie Ray will give up power and he'll make mistakes. But I think he's by so far and away the best tournament play on the slate. I don't even think it's close.
Good.
And to be honest, the more I think about people, how wrong they've been and how the numbers they're reading are just completely falsified. Because you're telling me what his walk rate is against a Houston team that has been the best against lefties forever. Then you go to face the Dodgers twice, and you have to go into Colorado and into San Diego. San Diego, who, by the way, now has the new group of all the righties in the world. I'm telling you, this has been nightmare matchups, and I'm not afraid of these Giants team. I don't understand that they actually are interesting for GPP plays tonight, but I mean, I don't mind taking sides of both like I do with a lot of pitchers, but I think for the most part, I'm going to side heavily with Robbie Ray tonight. And I don't mind, like, I might even put him in like half my lineups.
Okay. The other thing I would like to say is that if the White Sox stack was too obvious for you and the Texas one wasn't enough, I'm probably gonna just make Arizona my third one. Logan Webb sucks. I've tried, and I like some of the price of these guys. I want to play Cole Calhoun at 3,700. I want to play Peralta at 3,500. Marte, Walker, and it's going to be, currently winning $0, I think, for me for several hours tonight.
Hopefully not all the hours.
Not all the hours, but for many of the hours. Let's put it that way. I mean, between the Dodgers and Texas and and San Francisco, I mean, I'm going to be, I'm going to be rooting against the Red Sox. I'm going to be rooting against the Phillies if they play. Rooting against the, you know what I mean. So I kind of like Arizona as a low road idea.
Well, I didn't expect you to come with that one. I couldn't agree more on everything you said, but I don't find myself having as much of them as I'd like. I don't really have a great explanation for it, except for that I like a few spots better. And I don't
have a great explanation of why I like them either. They look really cheap, and I wasn't really wowed by a lot of other options.
My first thinking was that they might even get a little like Peralta and Cole Calhoun would be like 20% owned. I really thought that.
Oh, okay.
Value. No, but then I look at the other value. I mean, these guys are being written up by everybody today.
I didn't even know that.
Specifically Calhoun, Peralta, and Marte is the prices.
Okay.
The prices are just so low for what we're used to seeing for these guys for the most part. I mean, Calhoun's pretty close. I mean, by far, I don't understand why Calhoun's a better play than Peralta here. I would rather have Peralta. But, yeah, they're all fine. I don't think I'm going to get to much of them except for Peralta is the only one I've really prioritized. Because, I mean, by the way, on the other side of what I said about the Giants, Joey Bart is the number one catcher. If you're not playing Robbie Ray, nobody should even be in your conversation for who's your cash game catcher or anything like that. Joey Bart is the number one play as your cash game catcher. And Austin Slater, if he actually is, this is ridiculous. The numbers are wrong. Forget early projections of ownership. Austin Slater and Joey Bart are probably going to be owned like they were predicted to be owned 3% last night, and they were 35 and 28% owned. I think tonight will be similar to that.
Austin Slater's ridiculous at 2,800 leading off.
Yeah. But Joey Bart is the best player. This is the craziest thing. This guy's playing a second major league game, and I think I can comfortably say I think he's their second best player.
He got his first hit last night, I think.
He's gonna be really good. I've heard nothing but great things about this guy. So those are the guys you prioritize, and then you fill it in. I mean, obviously Wilmer Flores. Hello, he's a lefty. He's gonna hit a home run again. He keeps doing it.
Did you see the Twitter fight? Not the Twitter fight.
Oh, was it Cardi?
Yeah.
Get him out of here. He's so wrong about this. He just won't own up. Like, how can he say you have a platoon advantage, but then say hitting lefties for righties is not a thing? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You can't take both sides of the argument. Sorry.
He's still pissed off that he faded Derrick Henry like 4 weeks in a row last.
Yeah, he kept talking about that one, remember? Last game of the day?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man. All right. So, real quick, I'll go through my stacks, and then you can finish off with your things. I've got my stacks pulled up here. Highest owned stacks for me will be Minnesota. You should know it's going to be mini stacks. Want to emphasize that part for the Minnesota side. Minnesota, Dodgers. You know what's funny is I love the Angels, but I don't know who of the Angels I love except for Ohtani because the prices are so hard to get them in. And then everybody else who's cheap kind of sucks. So maybe you play the Angels on FanDuel. I'm going to max the FanDuel $5 or whatever today. So
let's go.
That's where we go big on the FanDuel one or something.
That's it.
And then, the White Sox I like a lot too. So it's the Dodgers, White Sox, and Minnesota would be my favorite three, I guess, looking back at it. Is there anybody else that I had more of? I like Oakland and the A's both as potential like small stacks, but mostly I'm looking at mini stacks outside of those three teams.
Yeah, this is what I got. So I got an early one. It's like with the NBA slate. We'll do one from each start time. So I like Milwaukee from the earlies. Then I like the White Sox from the 8 p.m.s. Then I like Texas from the 9 p.m.s. and then Arizona from the 10 p.m. So I got one from each. We'll get 1-4 staggered, whatever. And obviously, I like the Dodgers also, but those will be my staggering stacks.
All right, I do have a bold prediction tonight.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray will be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. And if he's not, I hope that you have at least 1 or 2 Giants on the other side.
If Robbie Ray is the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, I don't know if I win because that means that Buehler busted, right?
No, Robbie Ray has more upside than everybody on the slate, including Buehler. The way Buehler's been pitching. You mean, look, as excited as we are about Buehler, let's realize the guy hasn't pitched more than 5 2/3 innings all year long, and he's had medium matchups, not great, not terrible. Hasn't had a good game yet that we want. Hasn't had one game yet that we would have wanted him to have had. So I actually have Robbie Ray now as my number 1 pitcher. I understand. I hope that
for sure. Oh, absolutely.
I play tournaments, and I'm actually worried that 50% Robbie Ray is not enough. I'm actually worried that this might be one of those opportunities I look back and say, wow, if I had only locked in Robbie Ray instead of getting those Heaney and Discapani shares, I would have really been onto something. I don't think that I don't know. I'm pretty high on Robbie Ray at this moment, so I just want to get out of the way. All right, Chief, what you got for the people before for hot take? Anything to get out of here?
That is a very, very strong hot take. I don't know if I can.
My last strong takes have all been paying off, and I've been too timid. You know what I mean? I look at my golf takes. It's golf. I said Cam Davis. I said Cam Davis is my man.
And he will. What is he tied for first after the first day?
Yeah, I think he was in first. Oh no, yeah, he's one back now because what's his name shot at 42. Whatever. Scheffler shot 7,400 today.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Scheffler might be the best golfer in the world. When he plays best, I swear, he's had more 7+ under rounds that I've seen in the last couple months than anybody I've ever seen. It's like half the rounds he shoots 7 under, and then he shoots 5 over the rest of them. All right.
Here's going to be my. It's so funny. People are forgetting what we even talked about. So my hot take is you want a home run that no one's expecting. I'll go with one of Bobby's picks. I'm going to go with Chance Sisco.
All right, I love it.
Chance Sisco leading off at catcher at an overpriced whatever. Let him get there.
Yeah, my favorite cheap play. There's no way Jake Cave won't be in 25 to 40% of my lineup.
Ooh, look at that. Cave and what about the catcher for the Giants?
And look, you guys, we can keep pretending that Nelson Cruz, we don't have to play him at these prices. But when he's facing a lefty, I'm just going to, I don't know the last time he's faced a lefty and started the game where he didn't end up with at least 1 home run. I'm really trying to remember back. I'm looking back at his game log. I've got him as the last 5 times he's played against lefty. He's hit at least 1 home run and once hit 2. He's also hit 2 doubles in those games, or no, 1 double in those games. I mean, I'm telling you, Nelson Cruz is. I may not love all of Minnesota, but Nelson Cruz and Jake Cave, and maybe we use their catcher as a pivot off of Bart or whatever. That's your little 3-man stack that's going to win all the money.
I like it.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Sheets, this was great. I had a really good time today doing the shows. And for Sheets, I'm Bobby saying good luck tonight. We'll see you guys at the top of the leaderboard.
All right.